From the Russian invasion of Ukraine to rising tensions in the South China Sea, how is the European Union navigating these global and regional challenges while maintaining stability and resilience? And what is the potential of the Philippines as a key investment partner for the EU? NewsWatch Plus sits down with EU Commissioner for Budget and Administration, Johannes Hahn. European Commissioner Hahn, thank you for granting NewsWatch Plus this interview.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so your visit is a first for a European Commissioner for Budget and Administration here in the Philippines. So I'm just curious on what does it say about Philippines as an investment partner, and how has your interactions with government officials so far?
Well, the main purpose, because it's part of my task, is to issue European bonds in order to support European economy. And for this, of course, we're looking for investors, not only in Europe, but all around the globe. And we think that Asian countries are particularly interested partners, and the Philippines in particular. And that's why I'm here to present our bonds, the performance of the bonds, what is, so to say, the outlook, what are the intentions, and how we can cooperate. And I have to say, the talks, for instance, also with the National Bank, were quite promising, and I think it's the beginning, and we are quite optimistic about the future in this endeavor.
So what potentials do you see, at least for the Philippines?
Well, it's about two-way. Europe has to invest, Europe has to support, but there are a lot of opportunities also for the Philippine business sector in Europe. And if we have strengthened ties in different areas, it's in the mutual interest of us. That's why we're also quite happy on the European side that we could relaunch the negotiations on the free trade agreement. We are in an early stage, but it's another example, another proof for the growing close cooperation, very friendly cooperation between the Philippines and Europe.
Sovereign Wealth Fund, or the Maharlika Investment Fund, it is where our government is looking for potential areas where we can invest. Is this something that was brought up with your discussions with Philippine officials? And if yes, do you think the Philippines should invest in EU bonds using this Sovereign Wealth Fund?
It was not raised, but I'm aware about this. I have been informed, and of course, I think this fund is at the very beginning, and one has to see the construction, the design, and indeed, I think we should be all open-minded when it comes, once again, to strengthen our ties.
All right, let's talk about diversified investments. I mean, what diversified investments can the Philippines and EU engage in, and are there any new opportunities for Filipinos to invest in EU assets?
On the first, I think it depends on the Philippine economy. I think it's also about building up a strong industrial base, and then of course one can invest in Europe, and maybe also a closer cooperation between European and Philippine companies for activities in both areas, territories, but also on third places. I think this is we are both very much committed to a rule-based global world order, which enables everybody to participate in a free trade environment, which is conducive for the well-being of people and states. And in this we are very much aligned. And well, I see a lot of very positive perspectives for joint activities.
How can EU bonds provide stability for Filipino investors given this geopolitical situations that's happening around the world? You've already mentioned about rules-based order, and as we all know, there's war in Russia, Russian invasion of Ukraine, and then here in the Philippines, we're also tackling about South China Sea and the other geopolitical flashpoint.
Yeah.
So how do you think EU bonds would provide stability for Filipino investors as well?
Well, first, I mean, Europe, the European Union is an anchor of stability. There is political stability, there is rule of law, there is political continuity, predictability, reliability. I think we are a very mature democratic structure, and this is also reflected in our economic performance. So the Eurobonds have a AAA rating, a very attractive yield. So I think it's for investors a very solid and attractive bond. And if you want to diversify your risks, it's, I think, a very good idea to invest in Eurobonds for two reasons. First, as I said, the rating, the conditions are excellent. Second, I think it's important also to invest in euro. I'm not against the dollar, not at all, but diversification also means diversify the currencies, and the euro is the second global currency meanwhile. We're very strong, and that's why from that perspective it also makes a lot of sense to engage and to invest and to spread also the risks, but at the same time generate additional opportunities and profits.
So you're confident that the EU can withstand, or the euro can withstand these global challenges that we're currently in, that we're experiencing right now?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the track record of the European Union since its start in the 50s, we came out always stronger after each crisis. Unfortunately, or I hope we don't need always crises to become stronger, but apparently we are able to tackle these challenges successfully.
Okay, I'm down to my last few questions. What is your vision for EU's financial future, and how do you think partnerships with countries like the Philippines could help each other out in building a global resilient economy?
Well, I think here Europe has to play a strong role at the global scene. Our understanding is to be one cornerstone in a triangle between China, the US, and us. In that respect, we are looking for strong allies. Philippines are one of them, ASEAN countries in general. So I'm very, I was very satisfied, or even happy to hear that Philippines is now very much engaged within ASEAN, will become president in 2026. This will also contribute to a further engagement and cooperation between the two regions. And if we are working well together, we can be finally successful in this global competition between two main societal concepts: democracy, freedom of movement of space, rule of law, and on the other hand, no democracy, no market economy, and these are the rivals, the systemic rivals. But it's definitely our interest to strengthen our kind of cooperation, this interest to build a global rule-based order.
And global rules-based order should be protected at all costs, because the EU has been supporting the Philippines given the challenges that we're facing in this Indo-Pacific region. How important is it to maintain that kind of security for the global economy?
No, it's important because also this conflict, like the war in Ukraine, triggered by Russia, proves that today local or regional conflicts have a global relevance and impact. And if it's about territorial integrity, I think it is something which is again in our joint interest. And if you face a violation there, it might be an invitation for others to do something similar. That's why we have to be tough to react, and we also happy that and grateful that, for instance, Philippines supported all these resolutions at the United Nations level to condemn this Russian aggression in Ukraine, because it's also in your interest. It was well understood, and that's why we have to stand together in order to protect our interests.
And everything's interconnected, sir, whether it's an issue of security and economy.
Yeah. The world is the same size, but in terms of cooperation, it became much smaller.
EU Commissioner Hahn, thank you for granting NewsWatch Plus this interview, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on your visit here in Manila.
Thank you.